The BBC.
A handful of UK sports are waiting to learn how they will benefit from the latest government virus bailout. £300 million, we understand, will be pledged in a mixture of grants and loans across a number of sports. Here's our sports editor, Dan Rowan.
Rugby union, rugby league, racing, I think they will be the major recipients of this funding, which we understand will be around £300 million or so. They're the priorities. Netball, basketball, badminton, perhaps some for women's football as well will be among the recipients. Not cricket, because they're focusing on winter spectator sports, not football, as we've said. And I think it will be interesting to see whether or not these sports deem it enough, but also what happens to all the thousands of gyms, leisure centres, swimming pools, community sports clubs up and down the country that have had to be shut, of course, as a result of the pandemic in recent months.
That was Dan Rowan speaking to us on 5 Live Breakfast earlier. Bristol Rugby's chairman Steve Lansdowne says Premiership clubs need £100 million on their own just to cover their shortfall. He reckons the £300 million amount isn't enough.
It seems a pittance compared to that, doesn't it, when you're looking at the amount of people involved in sport throughout the country. But it was over £1 billion for the arts. You thought equal rights, really.
£1.6 billion was pledged to the arts. FIFA say they could impose transfer bans on any clubs that fail to meet new minimum standards for maternity cover. Under the reforms, women players must be entitled to a minimum of 14 weeks maternity cover on at least 2/3 of their contracted salary. The FIFA Council have to approve the plans next month. England's Jodie Taylor says it is an impactful and meaningful addition to our sport. Also in women's sport, WSL West Ham have announced their head coach Matt Beard has left the club. They say it's mutual consent. If you look at the table, they're fourth bottom of the Women's Super League and have lost their last 3. Jack Grealish was the England man of the match for the second time in a week last night, although he tweeted that 2-goal Phil Foden should have won that. He admitted last night he is thrilled at people drawing comparisons between him and Paul Gascoigne ever since he burst onto the international scene.
I know now that there's going to be a bit of pressure on myself for what I'm doing, on the pitch and off the pitch. And I think I'm old enough and wise enough now to control myself. The pressure on the pitch, that's what I love, I just thrive off it.
Grealish's Aston Villa play Brighton Saturday, 3 o'clock. It's live on 5 Live. England will name their Autumn Nations Cup team to play Ireland in the next half an hour. Forwards Jack Willis and Charlie Ewell started against Georgia. It was a big win, but they missed out on this week's training squad. Coach Matt Proudfoot says head coach Eddie Jones is always pretty straight up with his players on why they're left out.
I've yet to meet a coach as honest as Eddie and as clear in his message. There's not double speak. So players that have a disappointment on the weekend understand, well, I can use this negative energy to fuel me for a week or two when I'm back in, and there's a clear message on what I need to improve.
There is live ATP Tour Finals tennis on the BBC today. On BBC Two, from 2, you can watch Dominic Thiem against Andrei Rublev. And then from 8 tonight on Sports Extra, Rafa Nadal against Stefanos Tsitsipas. That's the latest from BBC Sport.
BBC Sport.